Hey guys, it's George truly coming back at you all once again with another one, and as promised, I have that meta analyzed for you guys, and let's get right to it. And first, I want to cover the five spell speeds in this game. Um, Very simple to understand. Speed 1, 2, and 3. Most of you all should already know them or have known of them. Monster effects that have to activate speed 1 or that do not stay quick effect, that they are speed 1s. Same thing with Raigeki. Normal spell cards, they are speed 1. Normal trap cards, continuous trap cards are speed 2, such as Raigeki, and counter trap cards are the only cards in the game with a speed of 3. Now for the cards with speeds of 4, they are the cards that cards and effects cannot activate in response to. Cards like Tira, the source of destruction, it has a monster effect that cannot be activated in response to. That would be speed 4. Speed 5 would be cards that have quicker effects or can be played quicker than a normal effect, such as Tira's, because it would have Tira as speed 1, but when its effect goes off, that's gonna go straight to a speed 4 because there's gonna be no response into its activation. And then Super Poly, which would be speed 2, would move up to a speed 5 simply because nothing can be activated in response. Keep in mind that all these cards that that they cannot be activated in response to each other. So even though Super Poly would be faster than the Source of Destruction's effect, because it's a speed 4, and both speed 4 and 5 would be in the God tier category, speed 4 and 5 cannot activate in response to each other. But with speed 5, you get more interaction out of speed 5, as it would also be able to activate during your opponent's turn if you set it, whereas speed 4 would not. Same thing with ultra polymerization, speed 4. So it won't have any interaction during your opponent's turn, but it cannot be activated in response to during your turn. So even if your opponent has that all-powerful negate board, you can still play your ultra poly, your super poly, your Stardust Wish, which would also be a speed 5, even though you have to wait a turn because you have to set it. But once it goes off, it's going to be a speed 5. Also, monsters with speed 4 effects, Cosmo Neos, Baragard Dragon, Barosword Dragon, and these guys all have speed 4 effects because once they go off, you cannot activate in response to their effects. And that is the 5 speeds in Yu-Gi-Oh! Now let's get down to the meta. And here we go. These are just a few of the new cards that we got that we didn't have in the original Legacy of the Duelist. We have ABCs. When they are equipped to a monster, gives them partial immunity from whatever their text says, such as this one will be monster effects, this one will be spell. And as you can see, they keep it simple by having them as the same card color as the card that they would negate, and C would be from trap cards. They gave us back Towers, which has a partial immunity. Sorry if I said temporal immunity. They have partial immunity. Partial meaning that only to a certain extent. He has partial immunity. The Despondent, what's his effect again? Unaffected by card effects. Also, it cannot be destroyed by battle. So he has perfect immunity, unaffected by other card effects. Also, he cannot be destroyed by battle, meaning that the only way to get this guy off the field is to actually tribute him off the field, and you're gonna have to do that via a kaiju or something like that. But because he cannot be destroyed by battle, you cannot beat over him, and because he's unaffected by other card effects, that is perfect immunity. Legendary Exodia Incarnate, unaffected by card effects, that is permanent immunity. Permanent, not perfect, just permanent, unaffected by other card effects. You can beat over him. Perfect immunity is when they also cannot be destroyed by battle. And these are just some of the new monsters that they gave us, so now you can actually see which way the meta is actually shifting towards in terms of monsters and their effects, and just how much harder it's going to be to get monsters like these off of the board. And they are the monsters that you want to go for and break out first turn, because they are going to be your win conditions. And I have a ton more monsters in the extra deck that are considered boss monsters that once you break out, it's going to be hard for your opponent to get over. It's going to cost your opponent a decent amount of resources. So if you can spend 2 to 3 cards and break one of these bad boys out, and it causes your opponent 4 more cards, you are going to continually outplay your opponent in terms of resources every single turn. Especially if you can revive something like Ultimate Falcon immediately with XYZ Reborn, and then have him right back on the field. That's going to be a nightmare for your opponent. Just some spell cards for monster supports, and I want you guys to take notice that they increase the speed so they can have more interaction. So you can see that they're going for more quick play spell card play for interaction along with special summoning. And as I said from my beginner to master level dueling guide, which if you have not watched, I recommend that you do, so I will leave that in the link in the description below, so that you guys can actually understand dueling in its simplicity, as I give you live examples of every scenario that I explained to you all in each situation, so you can see just how they unfold using simplistic cards. Nothing technical, everything simple. But I did state from in there that as the speed of the meta increases, you're not going to want to go second anymore. You're going to want to go first. You want to be able to set up a board that's going to cause an issue or cause your opponent to spend a decent amount of their resources, so that you can end up out-resourcing them, as well as be able to set counters and disruptions for your opponent's plays during the following turn that would also prevent them from actually getting over your boss tier monsters or whatever board that you would have already established or set up, using the least amount of your resources as possible. So you want to learn how to do that? Go and watch my beginner to master level dueling guide, and you will learn everything you need to know about dueling, and I promise it would change the way you see dueling forever. Let's get on with it. Bug signal. This is a quick play rank up for bugs or insects that's going to rank them up 2 ranks higher. So you can see that they want interaction for exceed or rank up plays during your turn and your opponent's turn, similar to how Raid Raptors respawn. Dog Burning Magic. This is some support that Magicians got. So instantly, if you control monsters whose original names are Dark Magician and Dark Magician Girl, you can destroy all cards your opponent controls. So even if your opponent activated an effect to get rid of one of your magicians, you can just activate this in response, because as long as their original names on the field are both Dark Magician and Dark Magician Girl, and just destroy everything. And it's a quick play, so now you can see where speed is actually becoming a factor. Dark Magic Expanded, quick play support for Magicians, Gladiator Beast United. This thing should let you fuse. Yeah, you can shuffle back into your deck from your hand, your field, or your graveyard fusion materials listed on a Gladiator Beast fusion monster, and then special summon it, ignoring its summoning conditions. Meaning now you can fusion summon Gladiator Beast during your opponent's turn and get some pop or destruction interaction during your opponent's turn. Let's go, because I want to see that Gladiator Beast again. I want Geysers. You would be able to make Geysers during your opponent's turn, and because you can send back the material from your hand, you don't even need to play a single monster. Just set United, and I think it's unlimited now. Yeah, they have Bisteria back to 3. So once you have a Bisteria and another Gladiator Beast in hand, and you have this set during your opponent's turn, when your opponent goes off or tries to do something, you can play your United, get the Geysers out, pop 2 cards on your field, and stop your opponent from setting up a decent board if you're playing Gladiator Beast. Also, they're trying to incorporate dual effects into these cards as well, as you can see with Lightning Storm being a combination of similar to that of Raigeki and Harpy's Feather Duster, either or effect you can get. Rage with Eyes of Blue, more quick play support for Blue Eyes, where you can banish this card and as many cards as possible from your hand, field, and graveyard face down, and if you do, you can special summon up to 3 copies of Blue Eyes White Dragon from your deck. You cannot normal special summon the turn that you activate this card, which is a setup for an OTK 9k on board. Your opponent has no monsters to block, and if your opponent doesn't have something like a Karibo or something that can nullify at least one of those attack damages, they are going to get OTK'd. Relinquish Fusion, quick play fusion card for Relinquish so that they can fusion faster. Secrets of Dark Magic, this is a dual play card that you can either choose to fusion or ritual summon with, and that means during the battle phase you can get out another attack. Synchro Transcendent, this card allows you to target one synchro monster your opponent controls, and then you could special summon one synchro monster that is one level higher than it from your extra deck, but it cannot activate its effects this turn, which should not be that big of an issue, because during your turn is when you really want to activate that synchro monster's effect. And as you can see, with one card you can get out a decent synchro monster depending on the level that your opponent's synchro monster actually is. Turning of the World, this card is used to ritual summon the King of Armageddon or the Queen of Oblivion straight from your deck. You can use it to summon them from the hand, but its main purpose is from the deck. They are now taking your ritual play and being able to eliminate having the ritual monster in your hand and just summoning it straight from the deck. Quick play card. This is what the meta is swiftly changing to. Zombie Power Struggle. Most people who play zombies, like J. Ruger, yeah, Ruger, he loves his undead zombies. This is a card I can see him playing if he comes across it. Zombie Power Struggle. As he plays Zombie World, all monsters on the field are changed to zombies. So if you declare an attack against him, he can just flip this and he can make your monster lose 1,000 or make his gain 1,000. So this card is excellent for zombies. As you can see, they give zombie a quick play support card. Also, they also give cards effects to be able to be activated from the hand, such as Tachyon Spiral Galaxy. And another tech card that I use, it's called Red Reboot, a counter trap card. But we're going to go with Tachyon Spiral Galaxy just to show you what they have for Galaxy Eyes. Well, especially if you're using Tachyon. It makes it so that Tachyon Dragon cannot be destroyed by, well, a galaxy monster you control cannot be destroyed by battle. Also, it'll be unaffected by other card effects, so it gives it perfect immunity for that entire turn. And if it's a Tachyon Dragon, you can activate it from the hand, so it's going to give Tachyon Dragon perfect immunity for the rest of that turn. Also, the Monarch's Awakening. This here, it would negate the Tribute Summon monster's effects, but it would give it permanent immunity, as it would be unaffected by card effects other than this card. The Ultimate Creature of Destruction, more Blue Eye support. You can activate this card that face up on a target Blue Eyes monster you control this turn. That face up monster is unaffected by card effects except zone. Meaning, and I do have some Blue Eyes fusions in there that are sick, and if their effects go off and they have this immunity, it's basically game over. It'll be unaffected by other card effects except its own, and it cannot be destroyed by battle, so it's going to gain perfect immunity. Also, your opponent's monsters it battles is destroyed during the end of the damage step, so it won't matter if your opponent monster cannot be destroyed by battle. It's going to be destroyed by this card's effect at the end of the damage step. While this card is in your graveyard, if you normal or special summon a Blue Eyes White Dragon, you can set this card but banish it when it leaves the field. That means during the turn that you actually activate the Ultimate Creature of Destruction, if you have Silver's Cry, which is a quick play spell card, you can bring a Blue Eyes back, set this immediately, and then during your opponent's turn, you can reactivate this again to give your Blue Eyes monster perfect immunity, unaffected by and cannot be destroyed by battle. And in the extra deck, monsters like these are what you want to aim for now in the meta, because these are your win conditions. If you can get these monsters out with 2 to 3 cards first turn and have 2 to 3 cards that you can set or interact with on your opponent's turn to either disrupt them or negate their actions, it's going to inevitably win you the duel. It's only going to be a matter of time, because these monsters with partial, temporary, or permanent immunity are hard to get off the board, such as Blue Eyes Alternative White Dragon. Your opponent cannot target or destroy this card with effects. Ancient Gear Giant, unaffected by spell and trap card effects. Also, your opponent cannot activate their effects during the monster effects cannot activate during the battle phase. So when he does battle, your opponent won't be able to activate monster effects during the battle phase. Leo Dancer, the cards like this that can attack twice, destroy all special summon monsters, they are going to become win conditions. Neo Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon. If it attacks, it can just send another Blue Eyes Fusion monster from your extra deck to the graveyard, and then it can attack again in a row. I think it can gain that attack up to twice. During either player's turn, when a card or effect is activated that targets a Blue Eyes monster you control, you can banish this card from the graveyard. Also, if it's in the graveyard, it can negate the activation of a card that targets a Blue Eyes monster or monsters and destroy that card. Back to its attack effects, and when fusion this card can attack again in a row. You can use this effect of up to twice per turn. Odd Eyes Metal Claw, if it use polymerization, unaffected by card effects. Permanent immunity. Quentin Magician, if you use 5 spellcasters with different names, you can destroy a card your opponent controls. This card cannot be tributed, meaning that they have already erased it being able to be tributed away via kaijus, whether your opponent used the Monarch Stormforth or any tribute method, would not get rid of this guy, nor use for fusion material. So Super Poly is not going to affect him to be able to fuse if you're using the Anaconda I think it's Anaconda combo that I showed you all, or even if you're Super Poly in hand, it won't work. Also, it cannot be destroyed by card effects, so now Darkhold or Geki and any other mass destruction card, Lightning Storm, is not going to work against this guy. So cards like these are going to become your win conditions. Final Sigma, Satellite Warrior, Shooting Quasar, Horrible Cannon, also monsters with negates. If you can get them out, negating your opponent's actions, such as a summon, is going to be so powerful. Same thing with Quasar, being able to negate a card that can potentially get him off the board via if it has an effect. Besides tributing, once you get them on the board, you really want to back them up with something like Mask of Restrict, so they can't be tributed, and then you would be on your way to negating whatever action your opponent does. Tyrant Red Dragon Archfiend, as he can continually clear the board every single turn. So basically, no matter what your opponent sets, unless it's like a counter trap card that counters effect, you're going to be able to just keep board wiping until you win the duel. 3,500 is nothing to mess with. Utopic Zexal, his effect, when you activate it during your opponent's turn, your opponent, make sure detach from material, your opponent cannot activate cards or effects. They won't be able to activate it for that turn, meaning your opponent can't play Yu-Gi-Oh for a turn. So it's going to stop your opponent during their turn from even making a comeback. So you want to make this guy close out your turn immediately when your opponent draws. This is a quick effect. You can discard that overlay material, stop your opponent from playing Yu-Gi-Oh, and you're going to eventually win the game. Final Fortress Falcon, permanent immunity. Ultimate Falcon, permanent immunity. 5-headed Ling Dragon. This is tough. Permanent immunity, because even though he can't be destroyed by battle with a Dark Earth, Wind, Fire, or Water monster, he still is vulnerable to being destroyed by battle by a Divine Beast such as Obelisk Life or a Ra, if you can get their attack over his. Also, even though he is by a Light or a Divine Beast, and even though he is unaffected by other card effects, his downside is if you don't have 5 cards to banish out of your graveyard face down, he's gonna have to send himself to the graveyard. But as long as you can keep milling cards into your graveyard, he's gonna stay alive, and he has permanent immunity. He has permanent immunity and partial immunity from battle against most monsters. Anything other than Light or Divine would not kill him, even if you can beat over him. So you would have to be careful of something like a Utopia, because Utopia is a light attribute. So you can go like Utopia double, and then get your double or nothing, and then go into Utopia 5 grand. Then you can attack, negate the attack, and then go 10k. If not, you can also use the lightning, or you can use what's its rank 5, victory, and you can run up on him and gain another 5 grand if you want. It'll be up to you. But yeah, your boss tier monsters, you can break these out first turn, and like I said, 2 to 3 card support to interact, disrupt, or negate your opponent's actions, and you're going to be well on your way to winning duels in this current meta. Well, this current format. So yeah, that's going to be it, guys, for this video. Oh, also, I know I missed something in the last video. Also, I did miss out that you can use full force virus to counter. This is before your opponent turn goes off if you're going first, to help counter those infinite negate boards by destroying their monsters, as well as infinite impermeance and skill drain, so that you can help prevent those infinite negate boards. Also, if you're playing Monarchs and you're going first, a really decent 2-card combo is Majesty's Fiend backed with Imperial Order. So you get out the Majesty's Fiend, your opponent cannot activate monster effects, and then you follow that through with Imperial Order, no spell effects. Remember, in this current phase of Yu-Gi-Oh!, deck builds are mainly monster and spell effects. You have very few trap effects in most decks. You do have maybe 3 or 4 decks out there that run heavy traps, but for the most part, most decks are monster effects, spell effects. You have those negated or cannot be activated, and you just simply win the game. From there, your opponent cannot play Yu-Gi-Oh! There is a way to actually break this, and that is why I recommend Infinite Impermeance at 3 in almost every deck that you could play this in, because of the nature of deck builds. With Infinite Impermeance, you can set this card in the same column as the Imperial Order. Then during your turn, you're going to flip the Impermeance, you're going to negate the Majesty Fiend's effect, and then because it's in the same color as Imperial Order, it's also going to negate Imperial Order's effect. And now for the duration of that turn, you can now play your spells and activate your monster effects, and you can now beat off the board the Majesty's Fiend and see if you can out the Imperial Order. So now you can make your deck live again, because this shuts down Imperial Order, and Majesty's Fiend shuts down most decks in the MR5 meta. I kid you not. So you want to make sure you're actually able to break that, be able to play your deck more consistently, efficiently, and just be a relative force to be reckoned with in Yu-Gi-Oh! So if you like this video, beat down that like button, hit the subscribe, ring that notification bell, and be the first to immerse yourself in an unrivaled wealth of Yu-Gi-Oh! Wisdom that you won't get anywhere else. And in the next video, I will be giving you a simplistic foundation that you can use when you deck build, so you can have generic cards that are going to be effective against the meta in most builds that you can just splash in, and it should not cause any controversy, as well as how to get the most out of those cards when you do splash them in. If they ever decide to be a dead card, how to make them live so that you can get the most out of your card usage. And yeah, that'll be it. So until next time, later.